So here's the thing. One of my all-time favorite shows is called Inside the Actors Studio. And this program features TV and film actors being interviewed by the great James Lipton. Ever since I've seen the show, I've wanted to be on the show. And I always wondered why theater actors weren't primarily focused on. So I'm starting a new thing called Inside the Blacktor Studio. And it's going to feature minority actors that are on the stage that are Canadians. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have great actors here too. So, my very first guest is Mr. Marcus Nance. Hello, Marcus.
Hello, Starr.
Thank you for joining me today.
Welcome.
This is a new venture for me, so please forgive any kinds of flubs or starisms that you might encounter. And please, fix yourself a drink.
I'm going to make myself a drink.
So, first things first. Where were you born?
I was born originally in California. I moved to Canada in 1993 and immigrated here in 98. And I became a Canadian citizen in 98 and was very fortunate that this is the home I was drawn to. I loved it so much when I came here to work, and I wanted to stay.
That's very
So
beautiful.
yes.
But your parents are from California. You
My
grew up there.
Well, my parents are from the southern states.
Okay.
South Carolina. South Carolina. Yeah, so there's some Southern Belle in my blood.
Very nice, very nice.
Yes.
And do you have any siblings?
I do. I have an older brother who's still in California. My sister lives in Texas, and my youngest brother lives in Atlanta.
You're middle.
I'm third.
Almost the baby.
Almost the baby.
No big deal.
I'm great
You're
had to be born.
And so what did your parents do?
Well, my father was a preacher, a Baptist preacher, a minister.
Preacher's son.
Preacher's kid, PK. And my mother was a teacher at the middle school in town.
Lovely.
She taught history and English. Yes.
And did you like the fact that your parents had these types of jobs? I mean, you didn't go into them, so.
No, I didn't. I wanted to be a teacher originally. I thought I was going to be a teacher. I thought I was going to be a music teacher. And I ended up just wanting to be on the stage.
Not only is Marcus an amazing actor, but he's a brilliant singer. Let's go there. I mean, come on. I mean, your voice is like friggin' butter.
Seriously.
It's so beautiful. You know it is. You have to know. By the grace of God, let's talk about it. So when did you start singing?
I grew up singing in the church. So, and I really think, I don't know, probably any church, but in the black church particularly, there's something in the sound of the music. Mm-hmm. And there's something so deep and spiritual and real about it that I really think that was kind of the first place I learned to make the music mean something. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know.
Because you're really singing about a being that is everything to you.
I think that a lot of the times it's an assumption that gospel is a sound, but it's actually more of a feeling. So let's speak about that a little bit. You started singing gospel, but you were actually an opera singer.
Well, yes. And the church I grew up in was actually kind of a mix of what might be sort of gospel-y pop, but there was also a lot of like cantatas.
That's amazing.
A lot of, it wasn't necessarily classical music, but high church music. Mm-hmm. So it was a very interesting combination, and a number of opera singers came out of that congregation.
You're kidding.
Not just myself. There were about 4 or 5 of us.
That's amazing.
Growing up together, and we went to school and studied opera.
And are you in touch still?
Yes. Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really great.
And so then you started singing all forms in church, but then you decided to go to school.
Yes, I actually went to school as a clarinet major.
So I was going to later ask Marcus if there was anything that we needed to know about him.
So people don't know that anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah, people from high school don't know me as a singer. Because in high school,
really?
I was a major clarinet player. I won all these awards. I was in all state bands and orchestras, and I did a lot. And then I went to university.
Marcus!
Yeah, secrets. Then I went to university on a scholarship to study clarinet. And
what are you talking about?
Yes, I was in a woodwind quintet scholarship group. We toured through Asia and America.
Marcus, nobody knows this.
Nobody knows this. My 4th year.
We know this, guys.
Now you know this. In my 4th year of university, I was playing in the pit orchestra for, what was it? The Gondoliers, I think. Gilbert and Sullivan, the Gondoliers. And I was so envious of the people on the stage. I thought, well, that looks so much more fun to be on the stage than under the stage. So the next year I auditioned for their opera. because I was studying voice just for fun, just to get my church music to be better. So the next year I auditioned and I got the lead. I was the judge again. I was the judge in Trial by Jury, another Gilbert and Sullivan. So
wait, you were studying classical training, specifically classical voice, on the side. As a hobby.
As a hobby.
Right on. And so then you auditioned for the opera company that you were playing in the orchestra of. And won a role. Yeah. This is why he's my first guest.
I think some of them hated me.
I'm just saying, it is not that easy for some, I gotta say.
And it was fun, and I was, as an instrumentalist, I was so disciplined that when I went there, I made sure I memorized my whole entire role before the first day of rehearsal, and I just remember everybody was looking at me like, it was...
That's not how it's done, Marcus.
Well,
This is not how it's done. Here, they're not even allowed to send us our music beforehand. You have to actually get to rehearsal. We can request it, but they can't be like, we only have 2 weeks.
Right.
Can you go and pay someone to teach you this music?
Right.
Marcus, you took it upon yourself. I was going to say, what was your first role, but you just told us. You're very good at this. You're making my job really easy.
Actually, my first role was in a church musical.
See,
I think I was the Good Samaritan. No, wait, I think I was the whatever the person is who gets beat up on the side of the road and the Good Samaritan comes and helps them. So that was my first role in church.
Was there singing?
There was singing. I think it was, I'm going to a festival in Jericho, and there I'll sell my wares to young and old. I've got some pretty pottery, some tickets for a lottery, and something. Firstly,
when was that role, and when was that?
Like 40 years ago or something like that.
Marcus, Nance.
I can't believe I still remember those words.
I'm impressed. Call me impressed, sir. So, like we need more color up in here. No, okay. So that was your first role, and then you put it aside and thought I was going to be in the orchestra, and then you won your first role on stage with the orchestra, with the opera, and is that when you were like, this is going to be my job?
Yes. Because
I
loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is really great.
Yeah. I love it too. Yeah. Is there any other fields in the entertainment industry that you would like to pursue? I mean, Marcus has his own CDs and stuff. He's doing that side of the business too. But like producing or directing or...
No. I'm very impressed with people who write music. I'm very impressed with people who direct. I'm very impressed with people who write plays. Mm-hmm. But I just don't have that mind. I really like to be given something and to interpret it for somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have no interest in directing.
It's interesting for me as well because I didn't think I had any interest in directing. People have often said to me, I have a director's eye, which I think means I'm meddling. That's what I actually think.
Lots of ideas in rehearsal.
And but good idea.
Good idea.
Just like things that I question or whatever have you. Or what I find amazing about directing is that people have a vision for an entire show. And I'm not sure if I would have that necessarily. What I have is a vision for a moment, or I can figure out how something might go easily or something of that nature. I think it's an amazing thing for you to say, I see a show and I'm going to make it. Mm-hmm. That's an amazing thing that I think very few people master, even though there's many directors out there.
Yeah.
What are your favorite roles? Why?
My favorite roles, well, the one I'm doing presently at the Shaw Festival this is definitely a dream come true to play Judge Turpin and Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Like, what a complicated man. There are so many layers on this guy, and I feel like of the 12 layers, I've just covered 3. And it's like I have 2 weeks to do the next 9. Did I add that right?
Yes, you did, honey. Yeah. Not only can he do some music, but he's got some math, y'all.
So Turpin is definitely one of them. I'm just having the best time of my life. Caiaphas in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Right, which you performed on Broadway.
Yeah, she performed on Broadway, and that was a great role too. And another bad guy, 2 bad guys. And in the opera world, it was Sparafucile and Rigoletto, another bad guy.
Is it because of the sound of your voice?
I think it's the voice.
And I mean, you're so
really
statuesque and beautiful. In all seriousness, one of the most beautiful people you will ever meet.
So nice.
Very humble, very respectful, so professional. But on the real... Judging yourself? That's how you judge yourself.
No, I'm just laughing. I'm trying not to look down at myself.
It's very good. Maybe we'll cut this whole part
Maybe
out.
we'll cut this part
Maybe we won't.
All right.
You're tall, and I guess the sound of your voice deep and
I think a lot
rich.
of the times it's the voice.
Yeah.
In an opera, it was always the voice because the basses are the bad guys. Music theater is not necessarily so.
Right.
And sometimes
so.
people don't give me the bad guy roles because I'm a nice guy. But sometimes they're like, I think you can do this. And Caiaphas was successful, and hopefully this will be too.
Well, I think it's really interesting that you said, everything's interesting to me. Moving right along. It's amazing that you have so much wealth of knowledge for different parts and different roles, and that you get the opportunity to play many different parts and different roles, because as we both know, people like to put you in a box. So if you don't get the opportunity to show that you can play outside of the box, then you can't move forward outside of the box either. And on that note, are there any roles that you would like to play?
I would love to play Kohlhaas in ragtime.
Yes, you would,
I
honey.
would love to do it.
You would be sensational.
And Javert.
Ooh, that would be beautiful
and
too.
Les Mis. Those are the two roles that I think I would really love to do before I get too gray.
Please. Look at that baby face.
You can't see it in the camera far away, but up close there's a lot of gray.
He's pretending, y'all. I was going to ask you what roles you'd like to play if there was no ethnic barrier, but you've already broken that with Les Mis, because I guess historically it's not been played by anybody of color. Are there any roles that you can't even think of because you know that they wouldn't cast you in that role currently that you would like to play? Do it.
I think Curly in Oklahoma would be interesting. It would be interesting to have this black guy coming into town, this black cowboy coming into town, and this girl falling for him. I really think that would be very interesting.
See?
Yeah.
Producers? Directors? That's what's up.
And the Music Man. It would be
Ooh.
very interesting if this black guy comes to town and he's sort of swindling these people and falls in love with the young, they're calling her a spinster, which is a terrible word, but that would be, I think, interesting. And not that colorblind casting has to specifically tell a story about the person's ethnicity.
Right.
But I always think sometimes it would be interesting to do that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think that sometimes opportunities are missed because people are blindsided by your color on the outside, but it can add so many different colors potentially.
Well, a different response from the community. Like, in Oklahoma, this guy who comes in, I don't know, I just think that would be really interesting.
Are there any rules or things that you would not do? Anything that you have clauses for?
I'm not shy. So I think I'd pretty much do anything on stage. But it would have to have a reason.
Yes.
I wouldn't just want to be, for example, nude on stage because somebody thinks it'll be cool. No, there has to be a reason for it. It would be difficult, but I think if it felt right, I would do it.
I have a couple of clauses. I have a nudity clause. I won't get naked.
It's personal.
I'm not very prudish at all or conservative, really, but my body is for certain people. And don't get me wrong, I've often worn underwear or close to nothing on stage, but not the full Monty, as it were. The other one that I won't do is I won't cut my hair. And, I mean...
I wouldn't either.
I'm very blessed with, beautiful long hair, and I remember people do amazing roles, and they cut their hair for them, and I won't do that. I might do movies or TV if they ask me to cut my hair because they pay me for that.
Tons of money.
Also, if they're going to pay me for it, because I'm going to ask for a ludicrous amount of money, they probably would have somebody on hand who could make me a wig so I still want to cut my hair. And I was talking to a fellow actor, and she was saying, you wouldn't cut your hair to play Joan of Arc? And I considered it. I mean, I would love to play Joan of Arc. I really gravitate towards that role. Another role that I feel like the opportunity might be missed because of this. She said, you wouldn't cut your hair? And I said, no, that's why there are wigs. The next role after that my hair plays a part in. generally speaking. My hair is part of my entire persona. And it's part of why I get hired sometimes. True story. So those are my specific
Those are good.
I
And it's
like
good to
that.
know them ahead of time so you don't have to think about it once the situation arises. So I think that's great. That's smart.
Thank you. Do you have anything embarrassing that you'd like to share? Anything that you, like, fallen on stage or anything? Or a crazy audition story?
No crazy audition stories. I mean, on stage, I have walked in too soon. Like, I was doing Julius Caesar in university, and I walked on a scene too soon.
An entire scene too soon?
Girl, how does that happen? But the thing is, a lot of Handel's music sounds the same. A lot of it sounds similar, I should say. So it could be very easy to be honest with you, I don't know how I did it, because I've never done it since, and I wouldn't do it now. But I did. I walked on, and I was like, oh, bleep. This is not the time yet. Well, I was playing Julius Caesar, and Cleopatra was singing, and she was singing about me. And so what I did was I pretended to hide and listen until the scene came up that I was supposed to be on. But the funny thing was, I could sort of out of the corner of my eye see all of my colleagues in the wings laughing and waiting to see what I was going to do. What an embarrassing story to even tell, because it was dreadful.
Did it inform the rest of your show? Did you change it?
No, I hoped that everyone forgot about it.
So you were hiding, but it didn't change.
No, it worked that I would hide and hear her.
Fair enough.
Like it didn't ruin that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it worked.
Luckily.
So that was embarrassing. Yeah.
I mean, if that's your worst story, that's pretty amazing.
That's the worst story.
That's pretty tame compared to the stories that have happened to me and or colleagues of mine. Speaking of nudity closets.
Oh.
So we've talked about being an actor. We've never talked about being an actor in the States, because you were an actor in the States for a while before you came to Canada. But...
Not for very long.
Oh, okay.
My career really grew here.
Right.
Because when I moved here, I was just leaving graduate school.
Okay.
And I did perform while I was in school. My debut was before I graduated. But... I really didn't start really working until I moved to Canada. In both the U.S. and Canada. So then you wouldn't have the frame of reference that I'm going to ask you about now. Anyway. Which is, what are the challenges and what are the benefits of being a person of color working in Canada as an actor? What are the challenges and the benefits? I honestly think there are more benefits than challenges, to be honest. And I know everyone has a different story. But I think the benefit is that I'm not forgotten. Yeah. I think in the mix, I think they're going to remember us because there are fewer of us. I think a challenge just could be someone may be uncomfortable with the fact that I'm in a certain role. And I do know once, and the director doesn't know this, but someone who had spoken to the director knew this. There was a part that he really wanted to give me, but he was really uncomfortable with what the audience would think about me in that role. So even though he wanted to give it to me, he didn't, thinking of his audience. This was a while ago, and times have changed. Times have changed in the last, I mean, not 100%. But they're changing. But they're changing. That's a better way of putting it. But they don't know that I know that. But somebody came up and said to me, oh yeah, I heard that. Such and so was thinking about you for that role. But he was worried about what the people would say about a black man. And I was just like, oh, do you know what you just said to me? Right. You know, I'm not supposed to know this, I don't think. And it was disappointing because I really wanted to do that role. But luckily enough, I've done it twice since. There you go. And I won't tell you what it is. No, don't tell me. You're very good at this game. I mean, just look it up. Just Google it. Are there any actors or directors that you'd really like to work with? Well, I have to say, and this sounds like I'm being, because I'm here now, but I'm so excited to be working with Jackie. Like, I was here 12 years ago, and I've seen a lot of her shows, and I've never worked with Jackie. And finally, I got to work with Jackie Maxwell. So that was a big thrill. I would love to work with Gary Griffin again. I worked with him once, and I really love his work and his clarity and storytelling. But who do I want to work with that I haven't? You can work with this actor or director can be from anywhere, from any walk of life. Meaning, could be TV, film, could be on stage, could be singing, could be dancing, could be dead or alive. Bam! Hal Prince. I've worked with him once before. Again, these are all people I've worked with before. But I was in the ensemble. I didn't have a chance to work with him as a lead.
What were you doing?
A showboat with him. And I really thought he was
I
really
did not
fantastic.
know you did that showboat.
Oh, that was the first job here. That's, when I moved here, that was the job I came to do.
So then you worked with lots of people that I love.
Yes. So Showboat was the first show that I moved here to do, and Hal Prince was the director of that show, and I loved working with him, but because I was only in the ensemble, I didn't really get close to him in terms of working on a character. So I'd really love to have another chance to do something with him. He's an amazing man. Magic.
Showboat, that's the show that brought you here. And wasn't it the great Livent time period when everything was here and ragtime was here?
Yes.
And so you didn't do ragtime.
I didn't do ragtime because I still wanted a career in opera, so I was keeping myself free for that. But I got a call from Jeffrey Heward, who was the music director, asking me to be on the CD. There was a CD they were going to make of a new musical called Ragtime, and they wanted to get the CD out ahead of time so people could kind of hear what the show was that was coming. So it was like a pre-cast recording. And there, girl, and there in the room was Audra McDonald, Brian Stokes Mitchell, Marin Maisie, all these amazing people in the room, and the ensemble was incredible. The music was incredible. I could not believe what I was doing. It was amazing.
I've only met Audra twice. She's the woman.
Nice.
She's so nice.
I have another Audra story. Audra's from Fresno, California. I did my undergraduate work at Fresno State University. So I was singing in a Christmas caroling group, and we used to rehearse at this church. And one day they were having a wedding in the sanctuary, and we were rehearsing in the choir room. And the minister of the church came running into our rehearsal, and he said to our music director, "You've got to hear this girl who just sang at this wedding. She is amazing." And he brought in this 13-year-old girl with pigtails, and it was Audra McDonald. I think I was 19, she's 13. Yeah. So he introduced us to this girl. She was all shy and sweet and cute with pigtails.
When you met her again, did you say that?
I told her the story.
That's fantastic.
I told her the story at the reception of Ragtime.
You have to.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But she was a big deal in Fresno, and I remembered hearing about this young girl. She did a Vita at like 13 years old.
No way.
At Roger Rocco's, which is a dinner theater there. She worked there all the time. She was this young girl, and we'd heard about her. And then I remember reading that she went to Juilliard. And then that was the last I heard about her, and then boom, then there she was, this big star.
She's
small world.
Yeah, she's the woman that I'd really like to work with. What was some of the best advice you got about starting this career, and from whom? And what would you tell future thespians?
I had a friend named Jimmy Rivers who I worked with. He was a colleague, and he was so smart. And we used to have this moment in Showboat where we were set pieces. So we were sitting on stage for maybe a good 20-25 minutes during the show, just sitting there pretending to be, whittling sticks or something. And we would always choose a topic to talk about, because we thought, we talk softly, of course, with the audience sitting here, but we would always have a moment to just chat about something. And we would talk about music, we would talk about the career, and he was just so wonderful. But the one thing he said to me that I live by, I try to live by, he said, you have to know what it is you feel about you. Because you are going to hear so many opinions, you're going to read so many opinions, you're going to get so much different treatment from different directors and producers, and it could get to a point where you start questioning who you are and your talent. He said, you have to know who you are, he said, you have to know now, so when those things start happening, you have a solid backbone.
That's amazing.
It is amazing, and I have had to use it. There have been times that I thought, I'm horrible, and somebody thinks I'm horrible, and someone said something horrible, but I think that what I'm doing is good, so I have to settle on that and keep working hard. Don't be, a sloppy worker and then think that's good, but work hard and know that your work is good.
See, and know who
you are as a
amazing advice.
person.
I don't know. Do you have other advice? Because that's pretty that's substantial. I mean, I'm going to try and do that from now on.
Well, you have to.
Well, because not that I don't think that my work is good or whatever have you, but, you might do an audition or whatever have you, and you think you did a really great job and you don't get a callback or whatever have you, and then you start to question whether or not what you did was good, even if you felt like it was good. And don't get me wrong, sometimes you need to know that you're not good at certain things so that you can work on them. Yeah. But I'm going to start to try and adopt that in my life because I think...
you could write it down. You could just write it down and put it somewhere where you can see it. Just, like, you know what I keep? I keep what I call, what's it called? It's called the joy jar. It's not a real jar, but it's like on my computer. And anytime someone says something, this sounds so pathetic, but anytime somebody says something nice or somebody writes me a nice letter about something that I've done, I always take it and I put it in there. And if I'm feeling kind of down or whatever, sometimes I open it and I look at it and I remember, oh, this person loved my CD, this person thought I was really great in this role, and then it just reminds you that there are lots of people out there who love your work and that there is encouragement and support. Because sometimes I can be really hard on myself. Yeah. Really hard on myself. So it's nice just to remember that you have a fan base and there are people who do enjoy what we do. And that's important. We can pretend it's not important. But I don't think any of us would get up on that stage and not care if people like you or not. I mean, we are slightly vulnerable in that.
And it's us. That's the thing that I try to have conversations with people about this. But, when you're doing a show or, singing a song or whatever have you, that's you. It's not a situation where you can remove yourself from it. It's you having this conversation or having, this scene or singing this song. So when somebody's criticizing it, it's you. And so you have to separate the fact that it's not personal. Right. Because just because it's you doesn't mean it's personal. Right. Since art is so subjective, of course. Right. Now we've come to one of my favorite parts of Inside the Actor Studio. Ooh. Thank you, James Lipton. This is the world-famous questionnaire by Bernard Pivot, and this is one of my favorite parts. So bear with me, James. Don't be angry.
Remind me what it is, because
What is your favorite word?
My favorite word is sweet.
What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word is hate.
What turns you on?
Turns me on. Legs.
Nice. What turns you off?
Arrogance.
What sound or noise do you love?
Music.
What sound or noise do you hate?
A car horn alarm that keeps going and going and going in the night.
Ooh, oh, in the night too.
Any time of day. It's like, turn off your car!
What was that? Bleep, bleep.
Turn off your car!
Getting to that word, in fact, what is your favorite curse word?
Can I say it?
Well, this is my show.
I love the F word, because I love fricatives. And if I'm really mad, if I'm really excited and you use a fricative, it just feels good.
It's a good reason. And what profession what other profession would you like to do or try?
I would love to be a TV newscaster. I'm still in your job, right?
Listen, what's this about? I mean, guys, he might be really good at it, but this is my gig. It's my gig.
No, I don't know if I'd be good at it because I'd probably say all the words wrong. I'd probably put the prompter on like, well, but I just think it would be interesting to travel around, and I mean, it's a scary job too, and they're treated so badly these days. Nobody trusts the media; they're bad. But I think it would be kind of fun. I think, or I would love to teach in a university
and teach music.
Teach music.
Would you?
Yeah. But I was asked to a while ago at my alma mater.
Oh.
They asked me to come in as an adjunct professor.
Amazing.
But I was still in sort of midst of my performing career, and I was just like, I'm not ready to stop doing that yet.
Totes.
Yeah.
And so what job or profession would you not like to do?
Would I not want to do? I would not want to clean toilets. I can clean mine, but I can't clean someone else's toilet.
I hear you. And now, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive?
Welcome home.
It's pretty beautiful. Thank you so much, Marcus, for joining me.
Oh my God,
my very
first guest.
Fun.
That's great.
Guys, please pay attention to Marcus Nance in his future career, and if you don't know, now you know.
There you go. Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode of the Blacktor Studio.